I choked it.
Well, it's not my fault that they made a grammatical error and there's a natural pause.
4.2, school board resignation, recognition.
I don't think you want to resign just yet.
No, month.
Through the Oregon School Board Association, I am pleased to announce that this is School Board Recognition Month. We're very honored, we appreciate everything you do, the amount of time you put into this body, the amount of work you put into this body, the amount of careful and educated thought that you provide and bring into the conversations. So I am asked by OSBA to read this proclamation, so here we go. State of Oregon Proclamation, Office of the Governor. Whereas Oregonians rely on public education to ensure a prosperous quality of life and strong economic health for Oregon, and whereas locally elected boards fulfill leadership roles and serve as the conduit through which teachers, parents, businesses, and communities demonstrate the care, creativity, and support that lead to student achievement, and whereas public schools nurture and train diverse student populations to the best of their ability, whatever the resources to give students the knowledge, skills, and opportunities they need to succeed. And whereas board members build a framework that makes it possible for educational organizations to teach Oregon's children, and whereas the committed men and women who serve on the boards of Oregon's 197 school districts, 19 education service districts, 17 community colleges, deserve recognition and thanks for their dedication to the education needs of the people of Oregon. Now therefore, Kate Brown, Governor of the State of Oregon, hereby proclaims January 2018 to be School Board Recognition Month in Oregon, and encourage all Oregonians to join in this observance. So, School Board, on behalf of myself, on behalf of this community, on behalf of Governor Brown, thank you for the great work that you do. Everybody, can we give them a round of applause? And we have some certificates to give out to you in recognition for the great job you do. And Price, Mr. Stavison, thank you, Ms. Munson.
Talk to the governor.
And
Unfair. They got a whole month.
thank you for
We did a teacher appreciation day.
Yes.
Amendment of meeting agenda item.
There are no changes, Madam Chairman.
I recommend approval of the there are no amendments. I make approval of the board meeting agenda items for January 10th, 2019.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of December 13, 2017 as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Correspondence.
I have none, Madam Chair.
Okay. Public comment. Reports.
Pleased to welcome instead of Christy Reese, Lisa Schoenberger to introduce the report on the FFA College and Industry Field Trip. So Mr. Schoenberger, you're on.
So Mrs. Reese couldn't be here because she has a bunch of seniors and juniors that are going through the first process of their state FFA degree tonight. And so she is over meeting with the rest of the Southern District to make sure that the kids are on track for getting their state degrees. So I have with us seniors Alex Decker and Michaela McKelvey, and they're here to talk to you a little bit about a trip that we took on the Monday and Tuesday before Thanksgiving, November 20th and 21st. Chrissy started this trip last year, and her intent is only to take juniors, but this year her junior and senior ag classes are together, and so both of the classes went, so we had quite a large group of kids. And last year she took them to Ontario and they saw Treasure Valley. They went to Beef Northwest and then to the stockyard there in Vale. So because of that, we ended up with a student who is up at TBCC this year. And so that was really great. And then we also have a senior this year who had decided that he wasn't going to school, and now he's decided that he wants to go to college because he got to see that facility and it fit his ag profile, and so that was really great. So these guys are going to talk to you a little bit about our really 3 heavy days on the road and what they got to see and experience.
So the first day we spent it mostly driving, and didn't we stop? Did we hit BVCC first? The first day, or
no,
was that
not
the
till the next morning.
Yeah, so the first day, just a total wash in the car, listening to good tunes, provided by me, of course. Classic stuff, you know, AC/DC, Kid Rock, the good kind. Because we can't listen to profanity on school trips, and technically, I think it's school grounds when we're in school vehicles. So, we were good. But then the second day we started off very strong, hitting BVCC, and they had wonderful ag facilities. We got to see their slaughterhouse, which was very nice. They had nice corrals that they were redoing, and we got to see some of their processing for their fields of them growing wheat and rye and stuff like that. It was very interesting, and I thought it was very nice. Their slaughterhouse was very new and modern, and they had, it wasn't a major one because they didn't want to become a competitor to local businesses, but more just along the lines for the students. And they provided lunch for us. It was hamburgers and hot dogs, very nice. How was the nursing?
So another fellow student and I are, as much as we love ag, we are more looking at the medical side of things. So instead of touring the ag facilities, well, we actually, at this particular college, we toured the ag facilities as well. But while the rest of the group was touring the rest of the college, we went and saw the nursing facilities. It was pretty good for a community college. It was a pretty concise tour. They had a Sims van, which was pretty cool. I had never seen one of those before. They had a lot of hospital beds for practicing patient care, IVs, you know, stuff like that. So it was pretty small. I think the tour probably lasted a total of 15 minutes, but we got a good feel of what it would be like to be in a school like that for nursing. And one of our students who came with me on the nursing tour is interested in, I think he wants to be a paramedic, but he is interested in going to Blue Mountain Community College and playing baseball there. So it was good for him to be able to see the nursing side of it, which is what he would be majoring in there, and also the athletic side of it, which is something that he's really looking forward to doing when he goes to college.
Yep. And then we hit roller skating that night, right? Yeah, I was number 1, but that's besides the point. Lonnie took a close second. He spent a little bit more time in the ring. We went to a nice place. There was also some mini golf for those of us who chose to go. Very fun and nice.
Laser tag.
Oh yeah, laser tag.
Laser tag.
You guys definitely won. Anyways, moving on. The next day we got up bright and early and we went to Eastern Oregon. And their ag facilities were alright. They weren't as extensive or as nice as BVCC's or Ontario's because they just didn't have as probably the space or recreation for it. Because like there was lots of processing with meat and whatnot, and we only got to talk to the OSU Cascades people there, which so Eastern Oregon offers credits through Oregon State, and we got to talk to them mostly and tour their campus and see their welding shops and whatnot, but it wasn't anything too exciting. Did you get to see the nursing?
Yep, we got to see a large portion of the nursing side of things there. I was pretty impressed with what they had to offer. Something new that they're doing is in the spring of this year, they are implementing a nurse practitioner's program for students that have their bachelor's of nursing. And this fit well particularly with me because I want to be a nurse practitioner. And though I've been accepted to OIT, I'm only going to OIT for my bachelor's of nursing. So I'm still going to need somewhere to go to get my nurse practitioner's license. So I think Eastern Oregon is where I'm going to go. I didn't know that before this trip, so that was particularly helpful.
And then after that trip, we hit the road and moved on down to Ontario, and their ag facilities are very nice. Up at TVCC, they offer you 1 pin for your animal, and then they have a nice half indoor arena to practice in if you're on the rodeo team, and they also have a rodeo team that goes and competes at the national college level most years. They are pretty good. Didn't they have someone like in the top 10 last year for something? Can't remember what it was. But I'm pretty sure, wasn't it Cooter? Yeah, Phil, Lisa's son, is now thinking about going there because of the facilities that he saw and just the way it was. Their ag facilities are very nice.
And we have John.
Yeah, and Jonathan Villagrana is attending that school right now.
We met up with them.
Yep.
So Treasure Valley's facilities were rather similar to EMCC's, pretty small. They had a lot of the same opportunities there as EMCC did. The student that toured with me is looking at Treasure Valley as kind of a backup to BMCC. So I know it was extremely beneficial for him to be able to see that, just to know what his options are, to gauge what it would be like in either place. Just in case one plan doesn't work, it's always good to have a backup.
And then we hit the road and headed on home. And that concluded our trip. It was pretty good, lots of fun, lots of good music, of course. Yes.
What was the music on the way home?
The music on the way home was a little bit more modern.
And they watched Kingsman. I got to hear the words
The first
to
one or the
Kingsman.
second
Yeah.
one?
Two.
The second one,
Oh
we
my
watched.
goodness, isn't that rated R?
No,
I'm just kidding.
it's G. It's rated G.
Yeah, we watched Kingsman in
Good.
the back, and Lisa and Michaela sitting in the front for the fools that they are. Did not get
That's
to.
because you
but
wouldn't let us in the back. That was the boy area.
apparently, we can't drive school vehicles.
Please,
But,
God, don't.
She was trying to push it on us, honestly.
Great. Lisa.
Yeah, but they got to hear the audio of it and got the general gist of the story, but for the rest of us, we got the good parts.
So what are you guys moving on to now? What are you guys working on right now? And then what's the rest of the year look like for you guys?
Yeah, so as soon as we got back, well, we didn't, I wanted to say we hit the ground running, but we didn't quite because we had Thanksgiving break. But now we are working on Lincoln Douglas debates, which is a learning experience. I had never heard of them before. Something new, different, instead of doing like a traditional public speaking, boring 6 to 8 minute speech. And then we're
Got
almost
pretty
done.
heated in there today, I hear.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Becca and
Good
Evan
stuff.
killed it.
Oh,
They really did. Yeah, public lands. Who knew
She's
that
an
that
arguer.
was so interesting?
They come by it naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're almost done with that.
Spicy
I
here.
think it's probably going to be like late next week. We're going to start our welding unit. And while everyone else is welding, I am going to be working on doing ag in the classroom. So I will be kind of creating, fostering the whole ag in the classroom side of our ag. I don't know, just ag, I guess. Yeah. So anyways, I'm going to be creating the lessons and kind of like assigning them to people so that once we're done welding, we have another area to go into and make sure that the young kids learn about ag too.
Good job.
Thank you. Good job.
Sounds like an awesome trip, but that slaughterhouse at BMCC sounds killer.
Yeah, that was very nice, honestly.
Yeah.
Should we all grow up at the same time?
No, I don't.
Really?
All right, 9.2 ASD report.
After our return from our fall conference, our fall student council conference in Seaside, leadership class students were assigned to do their own community service projects that must be completed by late January. Student council members picked a variety of things like helping out at the hospital and fundraising for various local and nationwide and even global organizations. Towards the end of November, we began making holiday door decorations for every teacher and classified staff door. Immediately after Thanksgiving break, doors were completed and hung, which had a variety of designs getting people into the holiday spirit. On December 2nd, the Mr. and Mrs. Hollingsworth pageant was held in the DMS auditorium. student council members helped organize the event, and 2 student council members were actually contestants. Student council members also helped set up for the event as well as cleanup. Around $5,600 was raised. On December 13th through the 15th, we held a turkey shoot free throw tournament for students and staff. Contestants could take 10 shots before school or at lunch, all 3 days. Around 60 students and staff participated. On Tuesday, December 19th, we had our ugly sweater contest and winter assembly. At our assembly, we had 2 judges decide 3 different winners out of all the kids dressed in sweaters. Both our middle school and high school winners won a big bag of candy, and our staff winner won a Happy Horse gift card. After judging sweaters, we held our turkey shoot finals. Our 3 winners each took home a frozen turkey for their holiday feasts. In January, leadership students have been working on painting ceiling tiles as a project in class. Students picked their own design, and the tiles will be completed by the end of this semester and then put up in early February to improve the look of the school and give students a sense of achievement with their work. The past few weeks, we have also been busy gearing up for Winter Spirit Week and Sadie Hawkins Dance, which is the week of February 5th through the 10th.
Thank you. 9.3, building control report. Let's see, we'll have you go first.
I always go first. I would like you to go first once in a while. Oh, adios.
I picked you.
Okay,
It was a nice try.
I was listening to some music with Alex, and so, first of all, I just like to thank our high school staff and all the staff of the district for their support this week. This has not been an easy week for us with the events that happened over the weekend and late last week, but I think with help from some community partners, I think our kids are getting through it, and we'll move on fine. It looks like we'll have a memorial service probably next Saturday at our school for the young man, so just wanted to update you on that. Our current enrollment figures are 108 for the middle school and 252 for the high school, which has been about where they're at all year. We may lose a kid, but we only gain one pretty shortly after that, so it's stayed pretty consistent this year. I wanted to update you, even though they went through the entire recertification or reclassification process through the OSAA, the football portion of that has changed. They had an ad hoc committee, and we are, right now the proposal is putting us in a league with 11 schools, and which means they'll be split, the league will be split, because you cannot play 10 games in high school. Your limit is at 9, and obviously with our week 1 issue with the fair, we're at 8. And I don't know how that's going to look yet. It has not been finalized. My guess is we'll be back with 4 or 5 schools in our half of the league in the same boat we've been in. There'll be different schools, but it's still not necessarily the greatest news for me, because I like the idea of only having to pick up a couple non-league games instead of having to find the majority of your schedule non-league. So we're kind of in a waiting pattern to see how that will work. The rest of it for basketball and volleyball will be better. We'll have more home games because of that, and less tournament play, which is nice for our kids. And I think for our people. The end of the semester is coming for us, and we have some finals will be on January 24th and 25th, and prior to that we'll be meeting with some seniors that may be in jeopardy of not getting the classes they need in order to get them to graduate, and drag them there kicking and screaming so they get their diploma. I think they already talked about Spirit Week and the Sadie Hawkins Dance in early February. In the budget that was revamped, we're excited because we're going to get some math remediation, which is something, when you guys looked at our test scores in one of the meetings, you saw that they plummeted. And so with those figures and that data, we've decided that we need to do something about that. And so one of the things we did is ask for 3 periods of remediation, where we're going to take kids and it's going to kind of be a 3-pronged approach. Some kids can do credit recovery. Some kids will be doing just kind of filling gap in knowledge. And we have a computer-based program that we're going to try to use for that we're getting from the U.S. Army for free. And then the other one is just extra help and service for those kids that maybe work a little bit slower to get them passing and through and on to the next level math well. So that's kind of exciting. This was kind of brought on by the grant that the elementary is using with Janice Heigl coming in and doing some work with our math teachers. We used her as a resource in this too, and she really helped get the ball rolling on us being able to do that. And the staff is very happy because as of last Friday, we all finished our training to be able to do state assessment, and Tara Counts does a great job in getting us trained. It was an 86 question test, I believe, that every staff member had to do. I tried to cheat, it did not work for me. I had to actually do the whole thing myself, even though I was trying to cheat, but it worked out good. So we're all ready to go for state testing. And what I learned from that, there are no children here, is cheating doesn't work.
And Tara's a really good test writer.
Yes, she is.
Cheaters never prosper.
Any questions?
Do you know if there's a time frame of when they're gonna have this football chaos figured out?
They're supposed to have it figured out by the end of January. But then what will happen is, like if ours stays with that 11 team league, it'll be on us to decide how to split that league and what that's gonna look like. And my guess is the other half of the league will have 6 and our half will have 5, just because they're not gonna wanna travel here.
Right.
And so at least that'll give us 4 league games. We've been doing 3 lately. That'll give us 4. And then I assume the week 9 will be some kind of crossover playoff with the other half of the league to determine playoff spots. Not sure what the state championship committee is going to do and how many playoff spots there will be, but if they keep it similar, we've had 16. And if they do that, there's 4 leagues identified at our level, 1 of 13, 1 of 11, 1 of 6, and 1 of 5, I believe. So my guess is we would get out of that 11, we may get 4 or 5, maybe even 6 to the state playoffs. So that you know, at least a lot will come from that.
Right.
And I'm hoping that we'll be able to do some crossover with that other league, other half of the league, so that we can fill our schedule that way. Any other questions? Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I feel bad. I'm gonna stand up and I don't normally, but I can't see Annie and Jimmy have questions for me. Our enrollment is hanging right around 425 for all 3 elementary schools. It's gone up and down. We've had several families move into the community. The young man who passed away, his family moved back here just recently. We got one of his sisters just this last week. And then we have a new family that moved into the west side as well, and I just got a request for another kiddo at Union this morning. So we've had a few families leave and relocate, but some move in, and our enrollment is really pretty steady. Let's start with Union. Union had a Bugs Christmas program, and it was a group effort. We had Carl Schultz, who we talked about a little bit in the fall, who is here from AmeriCorps, funded by a grant from AmeriCorps through the ESD, who is a music person, and his background is pretty extensive in vocal and string instruments. And he is volunteering at our schools, and he is at North Lake, Dale Plush, and the elementary schools and the high school, providing support with our music teachers, which is great because our music programs are stretched, and we know that. So he helped with the Bugs Christmas, and it was a great play. It was a lot of fun, well attended. There were chairs. We set up chairs everywhere so people could sit down. And then they did another fun thing with Barry and Coley Nider. They grabbed all the 4th graders and fulfilled some of their science requirements, and they took them to the woods and they harvested some Christmas trees for the school. So every room at Union and the gym had a different species of tree, and the kids had to give a presentation on that tree, and just a little bit of fun facts for the rest of their class about the tree, and it was a fun outing for the kids. At Fremont, we just had standing room only. Mr. Cahill was there for all the programs, and you just couldn't get in. And we did things a little bit differently in that normally we put out all the chairs we've got, but we put our trays in the back, our carts, and we did things a little differently. Got those carts out of there so we'd have more standing room in the night, and we still had people just everywhere. It was very fun at our Christmas programs at Fremont and Hay, though, to see some familiar faces. Carol Owen came and helped with the programs. It was great. Carol, she's had a rough year, and it was really great to see Carol back involved with the schools. And then Mr. Derry came back and helped with the programs as well. And they just had a ton of fun for the kids. The kids love seeing them come back, and they have a great time with them. But those were all well attended. We did coffee for the staff in all the elementary buildings. Some of them were out on duty. It was kind of chilly and for fun. We too are working with Janice Heigl. We get her for the majority of the time, even though we probably shouldn't. We're greedy that way. And Janice has set up some really cool learning opportunities for our teachers that I think are kind of fun. We did not want our teachers to go December, January, February, because Janice is not a fan of traveling in the winter months. So she was here in December, in January, or in November, and then in December, she had me meet with all the grade levels, go through an evaluation form that we could all agree on, and set goals. And so our teachers were asked to set just a very informal goal of what they want to achieve with her out of our training, because she's coming for the whole year. And then our agreement is that I will go in and do an evaluation for Janice in January, after they've had some time to get their projects going with the kids. And then she'll get all that information, and then she'll work with that information with the teachers to help move them forward, support them, and help them reach their goals. It's a great way to get your staff to buy in, but also move forward. So that's kind of the focus that we've taken with Janice in this grant. And we don't know, but we feel pretty hopeful that we will get another pot of money from House Bill 3499 next year. And at the elementary, that focus will be at language arts, because our math scores at the elementary school are solid. And our reading language arts have dropped some, so we'll be focusing on that. We are in full testing mode right now. We won't start Smarter Balance and OAKS testing until later in the year. We also got to take the really fun Smarter Balance test with the high school folks, but we are required to progress monitor 3 times a year, so we're doing our winter progress monitoring right now. And so that's, our teachers are trying to get all those kids progress monitored so we can see where they're at, see if they're on target to meet those benchmarks. We have a data team meeting scheduled for later in January. We'll look at every child's score, look and see what helps they need to keep moving them forward. With our supplemental budget, we have quite a few kids with some special needs, and we were able to start the hiring process for a half-time special education paraprofessional at the elementary, split with the high school. We have interviews scheduled for next Tuesday for that. We also have had some movement in my building, and after exhaustive searches, I have secretaries hired. Bonnie Langham started right after the first year. She's been training, but she's on her own now. Mary has retired. And Tammy is going to stick with us until end of February, 1st of March, kind of see where we're at, but we have an applicant hired. We hired Liz Helling for that position, and she will start as soon as I can get someone else hired into her position, so that we have a smooth transition. Paraprofessional in her position, trained, and then she'll move in and start training with Tammy. But Tammy will be back and forth to help us, so will Mary, because Mary's been there for 29 years. Tammy's been there for 29 years, and Mary's been there for 25. So I still don't know what I'm doing, so they're going to have to come back and help us out a little bit till we get up and going a little stronger.
Do you have anything planned for the end of the year for them, or will they be lumped into
The staff has already got together and done something for Mary,
Okay.
but the retired teachers have a wonderful luncheon planned the end of January on that grade day. They do soups and breads, they always do, but this year they're honoring Tammy and Mary, and we have gifts for them. We have some pencil sketches from Marv Hickman, who was an art teacher here many years ago. It's what you see on the letterhead. They've been saved all these years. The original pencil sketch has been saved, and they're in Klamath getting framed, and those will be their gifts. Mary will get a pencil sketch of Fremont from Marv, and Tammy will get one of Hay
I will
from
be
Marv.
home.
And that's a surprise.
You'll let us know.
It's fine.
Good call.
Good call.
Someone's gonna look at it.
Yeah.
I've already done my
On
parent
behalf
hat
of-
for
on
Mary.
behalf of-
My other hat.
Secondly, on behalf of the district, I have those plaques also.
Yeah, and then we will have a recognition at the end of the year with our breakfast normally, but lots of times when they retire in the middle of the year, they're going and doing stuff, and they've got trips planned and things they're doing, so we like to kind of do something right when they're retiring.
Okay.
So, does that answer all your
Yeah,
questions?
he'll let me know the date of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's all I've got. You guys have questions?
He had another one, but it flew away.
EBL is up and going strong. And middle school basketball, and our gyms are busy all hours of the night. Right, Darwin?
Oh, yeah. Dustin tricked me into taking
Thank you.
I have to say I don't miss EBL.
I thought the application process was pretty stringent. I don't know that you got tricked.
Alright.
Got a heartbeat, you're in.
New business. 10.1, 2017-18 World Strides Field Trip.
I'll let Russ take the lead and go from there.
Here's Chalice.
Brochure. Upside down.
Got some flair for it.
Okay, so,
Our 2018 Washington DC trip is going to be this May. And right now we have 15 students signed up, but about 6 more preparing to sign up. And then this is for 2019 trip. I'll be advertising it to this year's 7th graders the 2nd of February and inviting them to sign up. I want them to sign up early because it's cheaper and you have a payment plan and it's nice and smooth. So I went over the full itinerary before, but overall we see everything. Monuments, Mount Vernon, Capitol, Holocaust Museum, at least 3 of the Smithsonian's. We walk a lot, eat a lot, and everything's included. Any questions on DC?
What is the actual cost per student?
If they sign up before June, it's about $1,800 per student. But if they wait, then it's $2,100 per student. And if you look on the back side of the brochure, it tells you everything that's included. So they have a 24/7 tour central. We have our own tour guide. There's night chaperones that come at 10 p.m. and tell us all to go to bed, and then they report to me at 5 a.m. There's a doctor's on-call program if we got any sick kiddos. There's someone available at the hotel to make sure all our itinerary is up to date and that our rooms are checked in and everything's ready to go. We have our own bus driver. All our meals are included. We have someone meet us at the airport, make sure we get on our bus that takes us to our first stop, which we always get off the plane and go straight to touring. Any entrance fees, I know the museum is the most expensive one, but Holocaust Museum, those are all paid for. Yeah.
It's pretty smooth.
And then trip home. The only thing that costs extra is if we don't get a bus down to go to Reno, then you have to get down to Reno. So it just depends on the year. Yeah, I don't think you're missing anything on that one. All right, Florida. So nobody wanted to go, except for 3 people. So I just kind of grouped it with this one. I'm not for sure on a 2018 trip, but I would like to get the invitations out there and see who's interested. Maybe I'll check back in with you guys on that one. So I am going to advertise a March 2019 Florida trip for 10th through 12th. Last year I did 11 and 12, and I think that the 12th graders are more focused on graduating and senior trip. And so I'm seeing if the 10th through 12th would be a better turnout. I think it would be a great trip because it's all biology based and a lot of parks and recreations, which I think some of our kids are really interested in. For those of you that are new and haven't seen the itinerary, it's a waterway tour. So you start in the Everglades and you do an Everglades tour. You kayak down the mangroves and you go to a dolphin hospital and rehabilitation center, and also a turtle hospital and rehabilitation center. A lot of museums, and then you go snorkeling in Key Largo to wrap it up and learning about the fish and wildlife there. It's essentially based on marine biology and learning about marine biology.
Call me if you need a shop.
Maybe I should take an adult trip and just.
Just a suggestion, Charles, maybe January would be a better time to take that trip?
They're very strict on their times with that.
Probably too many people want to go in January.
Yeah, or June, and then I'm like, June,
Yeah.
So.
Is this it's a spring break, is that what you said?
Yeah, and I'm thinking people might not want to do spring break, but my only, with that is then we pay for more subs for teachers, because it's 1 teacher for every 10 students. That would be at our cost if we do it at another time. We already have TC going. So I'm still playing around with Florida to see what works.
Well, and that's the same time as the FSA convention, isn't it?
There's a lot going on at that time. So I would like to look at the dates a little bit more and reach out to the parents and students in these grade levels, and then I'll get back to you guys on that one. Another thing I forgot for Washington DC, I was also going to see what you guys think about if the numbers are low enough, I was saying under 25, to invite 9th graders that didn't get the opportunity in 8th grade to join us. Because this year we're going to be right about 20, but I know that some kids, that 1 year is just financially difficult for them. But I'd like to maybe open it up to them again if I have low numbers. I think that's my overall spiel. Questions?
What do you guys think about
Feedback?
opening it up?
I don't see a problem with that if the numbers are there.
Mm-hmm. The first year, the only problem I had with high schoolers is, like we discussed earlier,
Yeah, they're high
they're,
schoolers.
they'll push the limit a little bit more. But like we discussed, I'd like to get as many kids to be able to go as possible, because I think it's a great opportunity.
Well, and if you maybe have a handful of
Yeah.
them, then they're gonna gravitate more to being like an A turner. When you have high school kids and they're with the older kids, they go that direction. At least that's my personal experience at home.
You had to pick the most challenging class of high schoolers for your first trip.
Oh geez, yeah. We have a love-hate relationship. Yeah. Any others?
Great.
Good to go? Alright,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the 17-18 World Strides Washington DC and Florida field trip
Actually,
as presented.
No Florida.
I think we need to correct, should be 2018-19, correct?
Yeah, 2018-19.
All right.
All right, let's try this again.
Sorry.
Move to approve the 2018-19 World Strides Washington DC and Florida field trips as presented.
Do I have a second?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you guys, have a good night.
Thank you. All
Chalice.
those opposed? Motion carried. Tuition rate.
Okay, so we've got our audited financial statements back as of June 30th of 2017. We'll get a full report next time. My auditor should be here. At least that's the plan so far. But until then, these are all audited financial or audited numbers to create what we charge other districts. So MODOC, Paisley, Plush, and Adel, all those students that are gravitating here. Of course, you have Plush students because there's no high school, Plush and Adel students because there's no high school there, so they automatically come here, but they stay as a resident up there. So I charge them. And then we have, like we talked about earlier this evening about MODOC, got quite a few MODOC kids. And I have one Paisley kid that came in this year also. So what I do is I usually just generally go back and re-plug those numbers in according to our ADM based off of 16-17 to create for 17-18. We always change it mid-year. And it only changed by a few cents. We were 59.94, so now we are at 59.24. And I'd like to get the approval to go ahead and change that rate to 59.24 per day, per kid.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the tuition rate as presented.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Motion carried. 10.3, resolution 17.
Okay, so as we discussed earlier, we've got a supplemental budget. Our supplemental budget totals out in a change in of $1,997,320. It's quite a bit of money. Really briefly, just for the folks that weren't in work session earlier. So we had a large, in the general fund, we had a large amount of kids coming from out of state, so MODOC. So I went ahead and upped that tuition reimbursement to us and our interest on investments, the LGIP pool. At the point when I was doing this, it was at 1.45, and then last month it went to 1.55%. So I went ahead and upped it since I was already in here doing stuff in the first place. So went ahead and increased our interest on investments to the general fund to $22,000. School support fund obviously increased. We finally got a passed budget after the first of the year and after we had already budgeted initially. So that increase is $4,720,459. And then the lower end of that is our beginning fund balance was had to be changed to $780,000 that we started the year off with. That's pretty close. Our audited financials ended up being at $765,000 this year. So we're way off mark compared to the $1,094,000 that we had originally anticipated. With that is the expenditure side. So we got raises certified, classified, confidential, all received raises. We fit in an additional 0.25 on spec ed and an additional 0.5 FTE on the math, which you heard from your principals, an additional N. Also a split between elementary and DMS LHS, full-time, and then of course our step up program, which came kind of after the fact for us. So we're fitting those in. So your general fund is now at $9,351,371. And then, so then we also had a change in, I grouped them by special revenue funds 1 and 2. Number 1, again, is cafeteria and SPR and IDEA enhancement grants, the House Bill 3499, and all the titles, of course, wellness and athletic funds that we have. Briefly, House Bill 3499, we rolled over the year with about $87,000, which was in our original budget, and supplementally, we receive another $90,000 for the 17-18 year. That was not budgeted prior to. Our Title I grant decreased from the anticipated $215,000 to $181,000. And our 2A, which is also going to actually end up being rolled into Title 1A, dropped from a $45,000 to $26,000, decrease in funding from that. Also, there was an increase to our IDEA grant to about $143,000, and then our beginning fund balance increased there from the anticipated. They anticipated the cafeteria to actually end in the red. We actually did not. We ended in black at $700.
That's unheard of.
First time ever?
I
Yeah.
know.
Wow.
24 years, it's still
Yeah.
there.
So you
I've
might
never
pass
heard of that.
I know. It's pretty awesome.
Seems to be a
$400. Yes.
I gotta quit telling fibs. I'm always like, cafeteria loses money.
Probably should double check that.
Okay, so, small change there, $1,117,000, we're gonna bump that to $1,267,000 overall. Revenue and of course, our expenditures on that. So, most of this stuff, most of these grants like the Title 1A, Title 3, House Bill 3499, there's some curriculum in there, but most of that stuff is gonna be salaries and teachers and aides within those mixtures. And so that's where we fed those to. Special Revenue Fund number 2. Okay, so this consists of our Ag Farm, Horticulture Fund, which used to be within the Ag Farm. We separated it out. They're getting bigger and bigger, so it's harder to keep track of what's happening. And so those ladies requested that we separate those into 2 separate funds. The next thing is brand new, the CTE revitalization, which everybody knows about that at this point. Career Pathways, that's also another new funding stream of about approximately $10,000 that supports that CTE as well. Measure 98, again, a little bit CTE, Health OC, the Ag program, the Horticulture program, the Youth Workforce program, and the Culinary program. So those are going to fund refrigerators and cold frames and Annie dolls and a variety of things for them. Measure 98 will also feed about $20,000 to that Youth Workforce program, which is also inclusive of the Step Up program. And then we also received a BLM grant, which is also part of Ag Farm and the greenhouse behind me here. They're going to start growing some native plants within that program. That's about a 5-year program. This year's at $75,000, so it's split over the 5 years. The Youth Workforce program, again, is new. We picked them up from COIC, inclusive of the Step Up program. WIOA funds funded into that. We also get some, working on some contracts between Forest Service and the could potentially be BLM in there also, that's not firmed up very well, so it's really not included as any sort of revenue, just yet. And then also the, Fish and Wildlife Service. So those are all, the CTE, Career Pathways, Measure 98, BLM, and the Youth Workforce are all brand new to us. So that's where part of our biggest jump from 50,000 that we started with originally bumped us to 695,800 for that. Capital projects, technical equipment, construction, those are all, we've had those in the original budget. Seismic, we did receive a seismic grant of about approximately 700,000. So that will go towards the DMS building. The focus there will probably be the gym area, that middle section, to do seismic work there. We had the DMS North Wing, which has been an ongoing project. Those funds have been cleaned up as of the end of December. So we should be clean with those funds. DMS main floor, though, we do have about 308,000 that has been granted to us. And that will go finish, hopefully, pretty much most of that main floor, mostly bathrooms. For the most part, those are about 100 grand to put those in because we don't have, we only have like one bathroom up there. So that should pretty close get taken care of, that main floor. And then, of course, Senate Bill 1149, which is our windows. You're getting a little bit of a cash flow, or bankroll in there. So it would be nice to go ahead and maybe start exploring getting some of those windows down in your area. Proprietary funds, small change here. This came up after we did our negotiations. We did a required tuition, and then we also did just a tuition reimbursement fund. Required is required by the district. For those individuals that maybe are lacking in an area on an emergency license, we will help them get through that tuition reimbursement. The 601 tuition reimbursement that we've had for quite a while now, that's more so professional development, more so the you want to advance in your career type situation. So more so on yours, but we will provide some help there also. So very small change there, but I was in here, I was doing it, you might as well go for it, right? Then finally, in the fiduciary funds, which is our education and new building, we're gonna have money just sitting aside there. There was no change there. I just supplied that so that we knew where we were. So in the general fund, I'd like to move, increase to the $9,351,000. In the special revenue fund, $1,267,000. And in special revenue fund number 2 is $695,000. And then, of course, the capital project, which is the biggie, $1,562,000 in there. And then the small change within the proprietary funds to $97,000. So you have a resolution in front of you, number 17, that spells those out. It's pretty general as far as the areas are concerned, broke down by local, state, beginning, construction, support services, etc. For those changes that we made prior to. Any questions on that?
I move to approve resolution number 17, adopting the supplemental budget as presented.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
You should pay attention. Talk real fast.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Chair, for your approval.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Announcements?
I have none.
Next board meeting agenda items.
We'll continue the superintendent evaluation piece and do that in executive session. We'll go through another what would be the last round of policies for a while. We'll do that in work session. We'll approve this evening's policies that I reviewed for you. And then also in that meeting is the required annual Division 22 standards that I have to present to you as far as a public community report required by law every year. have on the docket for right now?
So we'll either have Oster here, in person or might be on the phone, weather dependent. We're planning on Caribbean being live in person to give that, audit report.
You may have also the Healthy Teen Survey from Lawrence Chavez, but I have not put on that just yet.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, board.
This is where you start.